At the top, Phosphorescence with an indie alternative driver song for Zula. Zula.
I think, yeah.
Sorry, man, that's my first butcher of the day. Great news. And then Warren Zevon with Roland, the Headless Thompson, a sort of modern Western story pulling from folk, indie, random influences. Definitely like the first song like that we've ever played on PTA, but really cool, man. Can you tell me a little bit about that song?
Yeah, for sure. That's one that I inherited from my old man. And I think the first time I heard it was in the car with him on cassette, and we're down the coast, Christmas holidays. We'd spent 2 weeks every year over Christmas down at Caravan Park. My grandparents had a caravan down at Ocean Grove, and they were just great times. And he had another song, Werewolves of London, which was kind of maybe a little more catchy. And I was like, who is this guy? What is this guy? And my old man didn't play tons of music, but what he did play, like, it sort of got into my bloodstream. And that is one. And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole a bit on this Warren Zevon. And he's just a really cool dude. There's a pretty incredible video of him on the Letterman show in 2002, where he basically knows he's going to be passing away. He's found out that he's got terminal cancer, and Dave Letterman, like, is his biggest fan. He actually says, Dave, you've been the best friend my music's ever had. And Letterman dedicated the whole show to him. And just his ability to remain, grateful, I suppose, knowing the end was coming. But then
almost composed with all the news, yeah.
And he had this, kind of wicked sense of humour too, but it was just such a kind of heavy moment, and you can just tell that Letterman, like the ultimate sort of funny guy, is just not really knowing how to react in the circumstances, because he's obviously feeling it quite heavily himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Warren Zevon, and that's where he got into my life, and yeah, he's a cool dude.
So talk to us about, your beginnings. Like, you mentioned Ocean Grove and the Caravan Park and your old man. Like, are you a Victorian boy? You're a Melbourne boy? You got sisters, brothers? Like, what was it like in your early life and your early musical influences? Yeah,
so I'm originally from Bendigo, which is in central Victoria. There's a fountain that's supposed to be the dead centre of Victoria. I don't know how that works, but that's where I grew up. Mum, dad,
Rob,
me.
fact check that.
Yeah,
that might be a funny.
Rob's face just there.
Sorry, I'm watching the Warren Zevon thing on Letterman.
Yeah,
it's like I'm not even listening to it, and you can see the emotion of David Letterman's face. Like, they're tearing up for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
it's hectic.
It's very epic, to watch. But yeah, so mum, dad, me, my older brother. I don't know, middle class, lower middle class. I don't know where you'd put it, but just a real meat and 3 veg family, I would say. And that's where it all began. And that's, the best piece of fortune I've ever had was growing up where I did, when I did, because I went to school and, most of the guys I'm friends with today are guys I met when I was 5 years old, and we all grew up within 2 kilometres of each other, and we've been with each other through every sort of... There's nothing that's happened in my life that they don't know about. There's nothing that's happened in their life, that I don't know about. And that was, that was the best head start you could ever get. But, family life was... I don't know, pretty standard, I suppose, or what I thought was standard. Maybe looking back, it kind of was a slightly different, experience to maybe some of my other friends. But yeah, I always saw myself as a really happy kid. But one thing I've touched on in some of the videos I've shared is that from a very early age, I just had this fear of death. I don't know why. It's not like it was always there, but from about the age of 5, I was watching Video Hits or whatever it was, Rage in the Morning, and this Madonna song, Like a Prayer, came on. Yeah. And it's got all this kind of religious imagery and...
And this was the catalyst to the fear.
and then I walked up. I remember walking up to my parents' bedroom and saying to my mum, like, what is going to happen when I die? Like, and it must have just dawned on me for the first time that, you won't be here forever. She basically said, don't worry about that. It's not going to happen to you for a very long time. And
Which Dr. Garvey disagrees with.
Really? Completely, bro.
yeah,
Oh, no, not really. But we had a funny moment with him sort of saying about how sometimes, especially in your teenage years, the time that you get this energy before you go to bed between sort of active and calm and sleep that you want to talk to your parents about the problems. I didn't make the netball team, and mate, I certainly have it with my kids. They're not teenagers, let me tell you, but it's just like, oh, I'm fucking way too exhausted to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
Your mum waking up, you've shaken her at 5:30 a.m. Hey, mum, what's going to happen when I die? It's like,
And her message is like, don't worry about that. It's just
Don't
a film
worry about
clip.
it.
I'm trying to sleep. Go get your breakfast.
Pretty
Where the Cocoa
much.
Puffs
how
are.
could
Yeah.
I not worry about this? No.
yeah. I think she obviously thought she was doing the right thing, but I guess I was a contrarian from a young age, and that's all I worried about for the next 30 years. Like, lots of my life, like, I would fixate on, that happening. It's sort
And would it almost hold you back in a sense?
I didn't kind of know that it was. So how it kind of manifested was lots of OCD stuff. Some of the classic sort of light on and off, get in and out of bed, open and close the door sort of stuff, but then other more random kind of things.
Are you comfortable running through?
Yeah,
those
for
things
sure.
are?
Like, I felt like everything had to be like at an equilibrium. If I went through something and I had to turn around, maybe I'd sort of gone through that door through there and I'd sort of done a 360 or something, I would like just on the spot do a 360 back the other way to be like, we've got to be back level.
You're good.
Yeah. And if I dropped something, so it bounced through those, like, whatever, the tripod, I would like thread it back through the way it came out, because it's like I can't just take it. And like, so I was like really taking up a lot of my energy with this sort of shit, and I kind of, I was just used to it. It's what I knew. So,
But did you got to a point where you noticed it holding you back?
yeah. So in my 30s, I just was like, this can't be the best way of living your life.
Yeah.
And I'd had, so that with some anxiety, some fear of dying kind of stuff, they're all kind of coming together into a bit of a three-headed monster. So I just decided I'm going to go speak to the doctor, see what he thinks. And he basically said, maybe you should go see a psychologist. And I did. And the OCD stuff, once we got in there, I actually was able to get a hold of like really quickly. Like I can't even remember what my psychologist said to me, but something sort of, I had one of those kind of penny drop moments, and it was like 90% of the stuff I was doing sort of just faded away there and then. But one of the things she'd mentioned to me was like, in one of the early sessions, would you change the way you think, the way you are, if you could? All this OCD, anxiety shit, And I kind of said to her, I don't think so. I'd gotten used to living that way. I knew what it was like to live that way. And I thought maybe some of the creative and the parts that I really liked about myself might not exist if you don't have, the light and shade of like, this is the stuff I love, this is the stuff I dislike, but maybe my mind's working in some really creative ways that are advantageous to me because, it's also serving up all this sort of bullshit. And I didn't want to risk,
Yeah.
Then fast forward a couple of years and it actually came up again, and I said to her, like, yeah, I'd sort of swap it, in an instant. But by that stage, lots of it had kind of dissipated, and she'd explained to me that I was just using up so much energy that I didn't realise on trying to keep everything even. If you're going around, you're watching things or you're thinking about, did I turn around? Shit, I've got to get back. You're burning up so much nervous energy. I'm probably operating at 40% of capacity. Just like, if you get rid of all that shit, that's going to unlock so much more potential in you that you can give to friends, relationships, to your interests. She's like, forget about like, you know, think how much more powerful your creativity will be if you're not weighed down by trying to do all these
Order and
these
routine,
rituals.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's a long time between watching Rage at 5 to 10 somewhere and then 30 odd years old. How did you go about living like that? When was the first time that your mate was like, why are you doing that? Was there like a slow, this is who I am and how I do it? Because, hindsight's a lovely thing, but looking back now, is it like, wow, okay, that was the beginning, or that was when I first came to grapple with it myself?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I hid it, you do a lot of hiding when you're in that situation. Like,
And there would have been some shame attached to it, right?
well, not everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
You know it's a weird thing to be doing, like to be thinking, if I don't spin around, someone I know is going to get some incurable illness. Like, that's pretty out there, but, for whatever reason, you still tell yourself, just do it, just to be sure. It's silly, but don't risk it. But yeah, so I did a lot of hiding of it. You can get away with it in ways. Lots of it had to do with counting and different things. So lots of it was going on, not that people could see as well. But I went on a trip to the USA, and obviously my mates had picked up on it. And one of my mates, who I'd only known sort of a fraction of the time of the others, he like goes to me once, he goes, I must have been doing one of these things. He goes, so this is that weird stuff you do that everyone talks about. I was like,
which helped heaps.
Genuinely, I was like,
so much.
damn,
I've been outed.
I didn't know
holiday.
everyone was talking about it, but I mean, naturally you would. Not as in they were like probably sitting there like bagging me out, but they'd be like, have you seen how he cuts a 360 in the middle of nowhere, like at the food court of the shopping centre? Like, that's random stuff.
He's scraping all the sauce off the chip.
Yeah.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So that was my kind of, shit, like you can't hide it. And then obviously like partners, there's only so many times you can get in and out of bed without your partner like being like, what the hell is that? So anyway, yeah, that's the sort of stuff that was going on.
And may I ask, like, when they say, what the hell is that? Are you aware? Are you like, oh, look, I've got this thing going on that if I don't do this, like, my mum's going to die. Or I've got this thing going on that if I don't, put this back where it was, or, consolidate this spin of my body, then this really bad thing's going to happen? Or was it a bit more, I don't know, I just do it because I do it? What did you know it was about death at that point? Like,
yeah. So, I probably wasn't ever at the stage where I should have been, where I was being honest about it. You'd always be like, oh, no, I forgot something, or I might say, I just didn't feel right or whatever. And, I guess more often than not, they'd sort of let you go. What was the second part of that question? Sorry, Tom.
No, I suppose it was more like, were you aware that it was about scared of dying and scared of events, or was it you were a bit more unconscious about it and you knew you had a bit of OCD and you liked order and stuff, or were you quite aware in your head like, nah, I'm lying to my girlfriend here? What I'm really worried about, which I can't share with her, is like an irrational fear of death to me and my loved ones. Yeah,
so I did know that, and that was the thing, like, that had always been associated with it from, as early as I could remember. It was that, oh no, me or someone close to me is going to be inflicted with something, so you go and do this. And it boils down to trying to control, obviously somewhere in my kind of physiology, whatever, my brain, I decided that would be the worst thing ever if something like that happened. So I was trying to control that in a very, unhelpful way.
How do you look back at it now? Like now you have, like your psych said, or the therapist said, like, man, you got 80% more energy now. You spent all that time. So do you look back? Do you see like outrageous levels of fatigue, or do you only sort of notice the tics per se?
Yeah, I don't sort of look back and think, oh, how sluggish was I, or how was I was this or I was that. Maybe I sort of look back and think mood-wise, I've always considered myself a really happy person, and generally, I wake up on the right side of the bed.
Yeah.
But I think I probably was, prone to being a bit more snappy or a little bit more impatient. Like, especially if you're going through doing one of these irrational things,
Pulling the fork back through the chair the right way. Yeah.
and it's only going on in your head, and someone else is like living their life, not thinking you're doing this, and they might be, like, oh, what are you doing? Like, hurry up or whatever. I might kind of be a bit snappy because it's like,
no, this is the sole focus of my entire
like,
existence.
I wish I
right
could
now.
hurry up,
Yeah.
but I'm here doing this, like,
To
I'm having
save.
this little private battle.
Yeah.
So, but now I definitely have noticed, I just feel like there has been a weight lifted. That's the one thing I would say about like seeing a psychologist. I urge all my friends to. I've converted literally none of them thus far. They're all men of a certain age, and I just haven't, we're all from the country. They just haven't taken that leap. Hopefully they will, and hopefully they think that they can. But that's the best way I can sum it up to them. Anytime I go, some weight lifts, maybe it's 5 kilograms, maybe it's like 5 ounces, but it doesn't come back on. Like when I sort of leave there, you have those big revelations, but every time you have a great
It's
conversation.
an extremely big release. Like I've been seeing one recently, and I totally agree. And like how you said, the weight lifting. It's sometimes even just getting the skill to then lift the weight on your own, right?
Yeah.
But you put it perfectly. I really appreciate you being honest and open about, dealing with that. Really keen to get into what you're doing now and the stories and how you're trying to help, 20-year-olds on TikTok. Have you got a couple of songs that
Yeah,
you can
for
look back
sure.
to from that time?
Yeah, I think my first album and my first CD was Coolio, Gangster's Paradise. So me and my brother we went into Target. I came out with that, and my brother was like 4 years older than me. He came out with Jagged Little Pill. I was like, weren't we going down different paths? Like,
I reckon that's two songs that really need to go with each other right now.
Yeah, so Gangster's Paradise maybe, and you can pick. Yeah, any Alanis is good. Alanis from Jagged Little Pill anyway.
Well, here we are, past York, Sack Bearers. We'll see you on the other side of the break.